Yo guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'll be covering on the launch day for Skye at Holland, and at the same time with its very strong sales for a CCR project, does it really mean that it's very cheap, or what's happening on the ground? So on top of that, I will also be covering on the pricing premium within the development for each bedroom type. So stay tuned if you want to find out more. Okay, so over here we have the article from HProp, and you can see UOL and CapitaLand joint venture sells 99% of Skye at Holland at an average PSF of 2953. So you can see this is a sea of red by the number of units sold. And I think very important question is it really that cheap, and did those buyers actually getting it in a good price, or was it due to FOMO? And why did Skye sell so well as well? So the remaining units were 8 units, and it was a mix from the 5 bedders and also the 2 bed 1 bath. But the 2 bed 2 bath all the way to the 4 bedders, they were all cleared. So continuing on the article, almost all the buyers were actually Singaporeans and permanent residents, comprising a broad spectrum of investors and owner-occupiers. And also the larger units at Skye at Holland proved to be the most sought after, with all the 3 and 4 bedders and also close to 90% of the 5 bedders being taken up. I think this was quite interesting because for the 5 bedders, if you guys have been following the PSF and the size, it's actually crossing the $5 million mark range. So for Singaporeans and even the PRs, I was quite surprised that they would actually choose to buy 5 bedder condo in the Holland Village area. Of course it's CCR D10, but instead of buying this over landed property. So definitely for $5 million, I think your options are quite decent. You can even get a more prime location than maybe the Holland Village area. But of course, I think it depends on the current build up, whether if it's you have to tear down and rebuild. But it was quite interesting to see that some of the buyers actually choose to go for these 5 bedders instead of a landed in another location. Some buyers actually upgraded to a 4 or 5 bedroom type after their preferred 3 bedroom units already being snapped up. So for those of you that's not familiar, the 4 and 5 bedders for Skye at Holland actually started booking on Friday itself. This one I think because the developer UOL wanted to give the 4 and 5 bedders buyers not queue so long. On Saturday itself, imagine you queue for the 2 bedders all the way to the 5 bedders, all of them will be waiting in line very long, and there's a total of 2,000 plus checks. So definitely it will take more than a day. Very long process. So I think what the developer did was very smart. They actually allocated a portion of the 4 and 5 bedders on Friday itself to manage the flow on Saturday. And definitely on Friday itself, I know the smaller 4 bedders were already cleared, but there was still a couple of 4 bedders and 5 bedders that was not sold yet. And if on Saturday the buyers actually had the budget to buy the 4 and 5 bedders, it will very likely be after all the 3 bedders sold out, then they are forced to actually go for the 4 and 5 bedders. So definitely these are the buyers that are looking for own stay, owner occupiers, and very likely they are not investors. If not, they won't suddenly increase their budget so much. So the home buyers were actually eager to secure a unit in what may be possibly the last project launch in the Holland Village area, and also it is within 5 minutes walk towards the MRT station. I think that was the general sentiment on the ground. Okay, so right now let's take a closer look on why Skye at Holland actually did sell so well. So first up, we have the oversubscription in terms of check count. So here we have a total of 2151 checks versus 666 units available. So this resulted in a 3.2 times oversubscription. And for those of you that went to the show flat, it was very packed for a CCR project. Definitely it does seem like at the show units, you still need to queue up, much like you're at the USS they're queuing for the ride. So it's actually really quite crazy how much interest and how much Singaporeans actually have in terms of liquidity, because after all this is still a CCR project. For the 2 bedders also already 1.7 million range, not cheap at all, and even the 3 bedders also 3 million plus. Okay, so right now let's take a closer look on the second reason. So here I have the indicative price that was given by UOL for Skye at Holland, and then you can see for the 2 bedders 74 units starting from 1.5 million, 2 bedroom premium 148 units starting from 1.76 million, 2 plus study 148 units starting from 1.93 million, 3 bedders 74 units 2.4 million range, 3 premium 74 units starting from 2.84 million, 4 bed with private lift 74 units starting from 3.34 million, 4 bed premium 37 units 4.05 million onwards, and last but not least we have the 5 premium 37 units starting from 4.89 million. So definitely these are not low prices at all, but I would say in terms of the broader market, when we look at the starting from PSF for a CCR location near shopping mall, near MRT, this is quite a reasonable ask, I would say, because if you see now, I think the remaining stock at Alta, for example, this is an OCR project at Clementi area, they're already calling at 2008 PSF range, and for that area, not even near MRT and not much amenities other than Clementi side, which is not near. The only thing that's going for them is probably the high rise and also primary school. And over here, if you look closely at the pricing, right, we actually observe recently the developers, they started to price the bigger units with a higher PSF and the smaller units with a lower PSF. And on top of that, if you can see, right, 4 bedders with the private lift and also the 5 bedders with the private lift. By right now, for private lift, right, it is supposed to be a more inefficient use of the space, but developers are even more aggressive in the pricing, and we can see here for the 5 bedders 2770 PSF starting from. So definitely this is a trend that you need to take note moving forward for the launches, because I do see similar trends going also. This is also reflective of what's happening in the resale market, because for those very sought after projects, you can see that actually the bigger bedrooms resulted in a higher resale PSF as compared to the smaller bedroom types. Okay, so just now I did briefly mention about the timeline for the Skye At Holland's booking, right? Then you can see over here for Friday booking, 10th of October, 9:30 AM was for the VVIP, and then the bulk purchase, multiple purchase was at 12 PM, and the 4-bedroom premium and also the 5-bedroom premium was held at 2 PM for Friday. And last but not least, we have the agent purchase at 4 PM on the same day. Then the next day will be all the public booking already. So this one will be at the respective agencies on the 11th of October. It will start from 10 AM onwards. Yeah, so we have the queue numbers. Then usually you will come in 45 minutes to 1 hour before your allocated time slot based on your ballot number. So how many units was exactly sold on Friday itself? Let's take a closer look. So after all the agent queue, bulk purchase, VIP purchase, right, you can see for the 2 bedrooms, we only sold 10 units. 2-bedroom premium, we sold 29 units. 2 plus study sold 23 units. 3-bedroom sold 32 units, 3 premium sold 32 units, 4-bedroom sold 13 units, 4-bedroom premium sold 37 units, which is 100%, 5-bedroom premium sold 31 units. And out of all this, right, the most crazy one really for me was the 4-bedroom premium, because to have a staggering 100% sold, and if you guys saw just now the indicative prices, right, these are not cheap properties and these are very wealthy people. So in the end, I would say a lot of them are really gunning for own stay. Later on, right, I will share more in the pricing itself. Yeah, but to me, this was a very shocking result, because it did really show that there's a very strong demand, especially for this kind of big layout types in this area. And I think what was lacking in the Holland Village area was really a decent sized development, because I think One Holland Village, their layouts weren't that efficient as compared to Skye At Holland, and their PSF and quantum also not that low. Yeah, so I think overall Skye At Holland was a good fit for this area. And I think good comparable maybe will be Leiden Green, but that one is quite far from the MRT side. Yeah, so I think in the end, for the distance towards the shopping mall and also the MRT, Skye At Holland was a very desirable product overall. Okay, so right now let's do some pricing and stack analysis for Skye At Holland itself. Starting off, we have the 2-bedroom types. Okay, so here we have the 667 square feet and also the 678 square feet layout types. And then you can see for stack 5 versus stack 2, the premium, right, you can see is about 70-80 PSF difference for the level 4, and then for level 40 we are looking at about 150 PSF difference. So the view premium, definitely the developers load higher as we go up the floors. And because I think for the low floor units here, stack 5 versus stack 2, the premium is not going to be that significant because the view is not going to be that different. Stack 2 is facing block 6, whereas actually stack 5, you haven't cleared certain blocks yet on the other side. Yeah, so definitely the premium will come once you clear the certain floor range. Okay, so now let's move on to the 678 square feet layout types. So this one, right, will be stack 11 and also stack 14. And then if you observe closely, actually stack 2 and stack 11, in terms of PSF, PSF, the developer has put almost the same because I think they know that block 6 and block 5, they are facing each other directly, so the views is going to be quite limited. And even if you look at the angle, right, it will be still blocked by block 2 and also blocked by block 6. That's why the UOL, they decided to price it similar lah. And then you can see for stack 14, 2610 PSF, and then all the way up to the higher floor 3145. So I think in the developer's point of view, the view facing towards the roadside versus stack 11 doesn't really command a premium. So that's why in the end they still put the stack 2, stack 11 and stack 14 kind of similar in terms of premium, and the only premium will be on stack 5, which is the more premium view, unblocked view lah. Okay, so for the second one, we have the 2 plus study layout. So this one is the 732 square feet and also the 743 square feet. So now let's start off with stack 6. So you can see for stack 6, this is a 743 square feet unit, 2717 PSF, all the way to the 40th floor at 3277 PSF. And then next up we have stack 7. So this is right beside stack 6, 732 square feet, and then you can see the developer also put very similar PSF. So there isn't much loading in terms of the slightly different layout. Okay, the views definitely will be the same. And for the 40th floor on the stack 7, 40-07, 3286 PSF. And then now looking on the other side, we have stack 1 and stack 10. So they are both 732 square feet and very similar in terms of PSF. For stack 1, we have 2635 all the way to the 40th floor, which is 3138 PSF. And then for stack 10, 2635 PSF all the way up to 40th floor, we have 3183 PSF. So you can see over here for the 2 plus study, right, actually the PSF premium is not as significant as what we see for the 2 bed 2 bath, because see here, maybe the higher floors we have about 100 PSF, 130 PSF difference. For the 2 bed 2 baths, right, we can see a much more significant premium in terms of the view, because I think the developer for the 2 plus study wanted to be a little bit more sensitive in terms of the quantum, so maybe that's why they priced it not too far off. But if you ask me who got a better deal, I think probably the 2 plus study for the premium view got a better deal, whereas for the 2 bed 2 baths, those that bought not the premium view, which is the stack 2, stack 11 and stack 14, they probably got a slightly better deal, because in the end the price gap from the stack 5 versus the other stacks was much more significant. Whereas for the inward facing like stack 1 and stack 10 for the 2 plus study, right, their price gap wasn't that big, so maybe they didn't get as much of a good deal as compared to the 2 bed 2 baths, less premium facing units. So this one, in summary, you also can see per floor down we are looking at about $8,000 to $10,000, and they have an additional loading on certain floors. Okay, so next up we have the 2 bed 1 bath. So this is the 581 square feet layout type. So we have stack 18 and stack 15. There's not much comparison to begin with. So this one, stack 18, 04-18, 2624 PSF starting from, and then we have all the way up to the 40th floor 3098 PSF. And then for stack 15 we have 2598 PSF, and then all the way up to 40th floor 3135 PSF. And then you can see for these 2 layouts, they have the lowest PSF in this development. So for those of you that's looking for a rental yield or even a very entry level CCR product, this is definitely going to be a very good project to buy, because in this area I think there's not much competition in the rental market, because there isn't that much development here, and because of a much lower PSF here, your yield is going to be much better. So same thing here, we also looking at about $7,000 per floor jump, and also additional loading on certain floors. And you can see the view premium isn't that significant between the stack 18 versus stack 15. Okay, so now let's move on to the 3 bedders for Skye At Holland. And then you can see we have 2 layout types, 915 square feet and also the 1076 square feet. So starting off, let's touch on the 915 first. We have stack 12 and stack 16. And then for level 4-12, we have 2644 PSF, and then all the way up to the 40th floor for 3096 PSF. And then we have stack 16, 0416, 2617 PSF, and then we have all the way up to 3128 PSF. Overall, I would say if I were to buy personally, I would actually prefer to go towards stack 16, because I think the view will be slightly more unblocked as compared to stack 12, right? You're mostly going to be blocked by block 2, so I don't think you're going to be that worthy in terms of the the view, because even if you look at the Skye itself, right, you get a high floor. Block 2 is still going to be blocking quite a portion of Stack 12's view. Where else, if you would go for Stack 16, I think the setback from the other developments or the HP blocks is still further away, so you can still get a better Skye view as compared to Stack 12. Yeah, this is my own personal opinion. And the premium of about like 30 PSF is definitely much better to get that view over the inwards facing one. This is my own personal opinion. So next up, let's take a closer look at the 1076 square feet. So this is at Stack 3 and Stack 13. So for Stack 3, starting off 2662 PSF all the way up to the 40th floor 3133 PSF. Now for Stack 13, we have 2637 PSF all the way up to 40th floor 3169 PSF. So you can see, right, for UOL, they actually priced the inward facing pool view low floor higher PSF than the outward facing low floor one. I think this makes sense because I think if you're at low floor, you would prefer a pool facing over road facing lah. Then as we go up, right, like I mentioned just now, because the views is not going to be as fantastic because it's going to be blocked by block 6 from the Stack 3, then you can see why developer actually priced the higher floor Stack 13 a little bit higher over 40th floor for Stack 3 lah. Yeah, so it's partially block view. I think overall I will still go for Stack 13 because I think your view is slightly better than what we can get at Stack 3. And then here in summary, you can see per floor jump we are looking at 9k to 11k per floor, and then additional loading on certain floors. And then you can see for the comparison to the same layout types, the price premium in terms of PSF is not so significant. So definitely, if you can, you should go for the better views, because here you can see, let's say Stack 12 versus Stack 16, the high floors, we are looking at like 30 PSF gap only. So definitely go for the better view if possible, because this is only a 1% premium. You compare to just now the 2-bed 2 baths, the premium was like 150 PSF higher, so that one was like a 5% premium. So definitely this one will be a better deal as compared to the 2-bed 2 baths price premium. Okay, so next up, I'm going to be discussing on the 4-bedroom types. Unfortunately for Stack 4, it was already cleared before we even had a chance on Saturday lah. Okay, so I'll be just touching on the 1238 square feet one because the other one is no longer relevant. And we don't even have the prices for those because UOL only released the full price, right, on Saturday itself. For Friday one, we don't really have that much access to it because it was like over there itself, then you get the pricing. So for Stack 9, you can see 1238 square feet, 2696 PSF all the way to 3221 PSF. So this one, we already reaching the quite high PSF range already. And then for Stack 17, 2696 PSF all the way to 3221. So for UOL, they never put a premium difference between the two. Personally, if you ask me, I would say go for Stack 17. I think Stack 17 slightly better in terms of views, but I think developer wise, they think that it's quite similar lah. I think then there's no pricing premium also. And then per floor jump is about 12 to 13k, and then also same thing, additional loading at certain floors. But definitely at 3002 PSF, this is not cheap anymore, because if you look at the quantum, right, very close to 4 million range already for the high floors. Okay, so last but not least, we have the 5-beders. So here you can see, right, for Stack 8 1765. So just now you remember the comment from the newspaper article saying that some people, because of the 3-beders sold out, they are forced to upgrade to the 4 and 5-beders. So for Saturday, right, we still had 31st floor all the way to 40th floor for the 5-beders. So there was, I think, 3 or 4 units that were sold on the Saturday itself. So these are buyers that were forced out, not because of budget, but because they didn't have their first choice unit. So they are forced to go for the 5-bedroom types at Skye At Holland, which was quite crazy because here we're talking about $5 million plus range really. So definitely the buyers here, they have a lot of bullet and you can see the 5-beders is the most expensive in terms of PSF. We have all the way up to 3329 PSF. Maybe you can leave in the comment section who you think are the ones buying. Are they the people that staying in the landed there nearby? Are they potentially GCB owners that they just want a piece of Holland Village? I would say definitely these are either Singaporeans or PR, definitely no foreigners here. And per floor jump, we are looking at 15k to 16k per jump and additional loading at certain floors. I think this one really goes back to the question, like this 3.3k PSF, $5 million plus quantum, right? Is there enough another project with similar budget range, even a similar size, lower PSF, is there something that is a better buy in terms of investment value lah? Yeah, I think certainly this is up for discussion. I would say, in my opinion, I think there could be a better buy than this. But in the end, the market has spoken. There is still very strong innate demand for this Holland Village area. That's all I can say. In summary, why Skye at Holland actually sold so well? First thing first, we have a lot of own state buyers buying over here. Second thing is it has a very attainable entry price and PSF for a prime CCR area that is next to shopping mall and also MRT. Thirdly, we have a very strong land bid advantage because UOL managed to secure the land pretty cheap. Last but not least, I would say it's due to the limited future supply, because if you see at the Holland Village area, there isn't much empty plots anymore. Okay, so right now the market has already spoken. Even for Holland Village CCR area, 3,000 plus PSF, $5 million plus quantum is not a problem for the buyers. So is it really representing a good buy, or what's happening right now in the market? So let me show you what's going on next year. So same developer, CapitaLand and also UOL, they bidded for this same site. Now I'm gonna give you a recap for Skye at Holland's land bid price. So you see here, this is the HProp article, 805 million bid for this Holland Drive GLS, and then total we have 3 bidders only, and this was at a PSF PPR of 1285. And then you can see it launched within 1.5 years, and this resulted in the starting from PSF from about 2006 all the way to 2007. So it's about, you can see it's a 2.2 something range. And the higher PSF even crossed 3,000 plus range. So now moving on to what actually happened on the 9th of October, you can see UOL, Singapore Land Group and Keng Leong topped 9 bids. So this was very different from this Skye at Holland plot. Skye at Holland only had 3 bidders, but this Dorset plot actually managed to get 9 bidders. And look at the PSF PPR, 1338. So to me, when I look at the numbers, it really doesn't make sense that for an RCR plot such as Farrer Park and the locale itself, you are paying just 50 PSF PPR more. So I mean, if you translate that to PSF, I would say the difference probably is maybe at most $100 per square feet difference. And this will be launching within 1.5 years. I estimate it should be Q1 2027. You can ask yourself, okay, if today you have the ability to buy Skye at Holland at 1285 at 2005 PSF range, 2006 starting from, does it make sense to still go for Skye at Holland or wait for this upcoming Dorset Road plot? And this, mind you, this is near MRT, but the locale is definitely very different from Skye at Holland. So same developer, RCR plot. Let's talk about the starting from prices. So for Skye at Holland, for 1285 PSF PPR, we already have 2006 PSF starting from. Logically, when you look at 1338 PSF PPR starting from, we should translate to a starting from 2007 or even 2008. And this is at Farrer Park area. This is already set for 2027. So you cannot really change this anymore, okay? And the fact that developers are even more aggressive for this plot, it really shows the confidence in their ability to sell at this pricing in the future. And then one more question you can ask yourself is, do you really think a Farrer Park plot is more expensive than a plot at Holland Village? To me, the answer is quite clear, but you can leave in the comment section what do you think. So this actually sets precedence, like why actually people are entering the recent launches, because if you see when this price don't make sense today, it will make sense back in the future already. So I think this is something that I've been sharing with my buyers, and you need to be very clear. For UOL, this is the exact same developer. So if they saw the same potential for Skye at Holland at this PSF, then you should be all the more aware on how developer will price this. And this one is a lower rise development as compared to Skye. I think Skye up to 40th floor. So this one I think 20 plus floor. I think the maximum PSF should also cross 3,000 plus easily. Yeah, so this is something to take note of in the next year and even in 2027. So right now, what's next? Okay, let's take a look. We have a total of 5 launches for this month, and then you can see for those of you that actually doubted Skye at Holland's performance, the people with the budget already has spoken, and we are talking about 99% sold for a CCR project. So if you think that I should maybe gone back to Skye at Holland instead, too late, it's already done. Okay, so now moving forward, we have Penrith Faber Residences is next. So what percentage do you think these two projects will be sold? Maybe you can leave in the comment section. For me, I definitely think Penrith will be oversubscribed. I don't know to what extent, but I don't think it will lose to Skye At Holland. Faber Residences is slightly more quiet. I think because it's a lower rise development, this one very subjective to people and it's all the way to the west. So I think this one really, you will have a certain group of buyers and investors looking at this Clementi area with the primary school locale. And next up, we have Zion Grand. So honestly, right, if you ask me, if you compare Skye At Holland versus Zion Grand, right, for Zion Grand's starting from prices $2,700 PSF range, if I were to buy, I actually would go for Skye also, because Skye At Holland is, you got a full-fledged shopping mall and also MRT within 5 minutes. The locale is slightly different and it's a CCR project in D10. Whereas Zion Grand, right, in the end is still in District 3, RCR project. No doubt it is right above the MRT, and the developer, Zion Grand, if you have seen the show flat model, it is fantastic. The concept is going to be very beautiful in this Great World City and Rio Valley area, but it is still RCR project and it doesn't have like a full-fledged shopping mall. So no doubt it is like an integrated development concept. For the same price, I will still go for Skye. Yeah, but today, if you're already not a buyer at Skye, right, then no choice really. You need to re-evaluate your options as to if this next few launches doesn't make sense for you, then in the market right now, what's available in the post-launch or even in the resale market? Because you can see, just like I mentioned, Dorset Road already at 1,003 PSF PPR range. That is unavoidable already. And if you are familiar, next year you got like Trunk Grove, the Lakeside GLS, all of them are gonna be setting benchmark prices in the OCR and also the RCR region. So leave in the comment section how much do you think Penrith, Faber and Zion Grand will be sold, because I think we could have some spillover buyers from Skye looking at Zion Grand, but I would say Zion Grand definitely for investment wise, the PSF is not that cheap, okay? I would say it's more for the own stay element and maybe for rental yield wise. Okay, so that's it for me today. If you like my video so far, you can feel free to leave a like and subscribe. And also if you like this kind of analysis, you can check out my channel where I've done previous launches, a deep dive, okay? And for those of you that haven't seen Zion Grand show flat, really think it's very beautiful, you can let me know. You can reach out to me at WhatsApp 84849302. I can show you around. And I think by the time this video is out, they would have already closed the check lah. Yeah, so for those of you that still want to view the other developments like the Sand and Zion Grand, you can feel free to reach out to me at my WhatsApp number. And that's it for me today. Thanks for staying all the way to the end. Bye!